I call the meeting to order, workshop for March 17th. First off, we'd like to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, especially for all the Irish out there. So, be safe, be careful, and have fun. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Item 1 is to dispense with reading the minutes. The workshop session, March 10th, and March 11th. Something through the video recordings, it's the official new minutes. Item 2 is to approve the bills. Items 3 and 4 are the auditor's office.
Christy Cesare, Auditor's Office. Number 3 is to approve the list of the then and nows for February 2026 attached. And that's a recurring item that we have passed every month. And then number 4 is to approve the transfer of the 2026 estimated sales tax revenues to the general fund, which is number 001, and then also to the general bond retirement, which is fund 301 for the debt portion. And then the transfers of sales tax to the general fund will be done on a monthly basis. And the transfer of the sales tax to the general bond retirement fund will be done in April for the June debt payments, in October for the December debt payments. And the amounts that we have, the Budget Commission certified on March 16th, that 0.75%, that's the undivided share. And $23,682,500 is going to be going into the general fund 001, and $1,855,000 will be going into fund 301, which is that general bond retirement fund. And then the 0.25% is the justice sales tax, and then we have $8,512,500 going into fund 001. Any questions?
How does that compare to last year?
It is estimated. We increased the estimated revenue on that. There isn't really. I don't have a crystal globe, so I don't know what's going to happen. And there's no scientific formula on that. So kind of what we do is we look at the prior year revenue, and we kind of estimate just a little bit lower what the prior year was. And 2025's revenue was a little higher than 24's revenue, so it is an increase over the last year. Plus, as Joe note, that amount going into Fund 301 is a little less than our debt payments that we had to make in 2025. So that amount's a little lower. I want to say it was a little over $2 million in 2025. So the amount going into the general fund from the undivided is a little bit higher.
Item 5 to adopt a resolution commending Mrs. Julie Green, Director, Trumbull County Planning, for her induction into the League of Women Editors of Greater Youngstown Women's Hall of Fame. So another accomplishment by Julie Green.
Congratulations.
It's appropriate. Green.
It ain't easy.
Perfect.
To quote Kermit the Frog.
Oh, that's a pretty big deal.
I appreciate my staff were great. They nominated me. I appreciate
awesome.
everybody's.
You deserve it.
Congratulations. That's very nice.
You work really, really hard.
Thank you.
6 is to authorize the release by the Board of Commissioners their rights to policy benefits for Mary Fittipaldi with the American General Life Insurance Company. Policy number listed, and to have the Commissioner's clerk send the written, signed, and notarized statement disclaimer. Bill, I want to say.
Bill Danso, Prosecutor's Office. Commissioners, this is the second one of these. We had one a little while back. If you recall, these were some situations we encountered where employees had purchased life insurance, and for some reason that we still cannot figure out, mislabeled the form in the beneficiary section, and where it should have been the beneficiary, they were marking their employer as Trumbull County. And we have been able to determine that it was not their intent to leave the life insurance money to Trumbull County. It was meant to go to other entities, but Trumbull County was their employer at the time. So this will finalize this second one, and right now I think that's all we have pending. That will allow the commissioners would adopt this resolution, and then the life insurance would actually be able to be distributed then to the estate to go to the parties it was actually intended to go to.
Right. Okay, items 7 through 15. I hate to lay all of this on you, Alex, but you're submitted all of these. And I figured you probably could speak easier to me reading through all of them.
No problem. Commissioners, this is an annual, Alex Stephen Bush, Human Resources Department. So this is the annual OPERS sick vacation conversion, that the county has partaken in, dating back to, if I want to say, should have checked. I know we had an attorney general's opinion on 2013, 2015. It's been going on for quite some time. I think it's the 90s. Now I know the Me Too is 1994. I have that down to a T, but so it's been on for quite some time. Again, there has been a concerted effort to either, whether it's, there's two buckets here. There's contractual and then there's non-contractual, obviously. So the contracts are OPBA 911, OPBA units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ASME 458, ASME 3808, ASME 3808A, ASME 3196. I think and ASME 2493. Those are negotiated through the benefits. So those we can't necessarily adjust at the moment. The next round, as we go into contract negotiations, we always kind of have a strategic plan, right, of what we want to negotiate or what we're looking to, change. So that would be the next round. But the non-bargaining is the lowest at 80/40. And we'll kind of roll through all that. That is working with the previous Board of Commissioners. It used to be a lot higher. And the commissioners made the concerted effort, as did, HR worked with them to make sure that it was reduced in a proper manner, I guess, depending on whatever your thought process is. With that being said, the non-bargaining is at 80/40. Commissioners, I do want to just say that if you don't want to partake in the OPERS conversion for non-bargaining, the only thing I need to caution you on is that then people are just going to take their time. So either way, you're paying out that vacation and sick time, just so you know. I want to be very transparent. This is time earned. This is, again, benefits that are earned. So number 7 is to approve the sick and vacation conversion plan for OPBA 911. And I do put in parentheses in the note how much that is. So they can convert 80 years sick, 80 hours sick, or 120 vacation hours. That is per contract. Number 8 is to approve the sick and vacation leave conversion for members of ASME 2493. Again, the down in the note is the 100 sick and or no, that's fine. Yeah. All right, we have a little bit of a typo. That's okay. It should be 100 sick and it's 180 vacation.
In number 8.
Yeah. So say I kind of unfortunately know these by kind of crazy. Number 9, we'll get that. I'll get that fixed. Number 9 is to approve the submitted sick and vacation leave conversion for non-union employees. Again, this is the courts. The courts have a written order in the past that we have asked. They said that that's still the order in place. So Board of Commissioners, I would just kind of caution that even if you don't want to do it, they can write an order and then not in the past. So I have that for you if you would like me to provide you that textual information. But I will say the courts are at 100 sick and 180 vacation. So even they came down, over the past based off what it used to be. And I'm talking, we had significant amounts in the past. I mean, we had up to 240 numbers. We had up to 300 numbers. I mean, there was very large numbers. So we have made a very good effort to reduce that incrementally over the years. Number 10 is the Trumbull County Engineer's Office. So this is their non-bargaining, again, 80/40. So thank you. They matched us, commissioners, which is appreciated. And then again, number 11 is the non-bargaining personnel. You'll see here who falls under that non-bargaining personnel. And again, the 80/40. So what that means is that anybody in the commissioner's office, treasurer's office, so on and so forth, is adhering to the 80/40 if they're non-bargaining. Number 12 is the ASME Local 3808A. Their maximum, the max they can convert is 86, 100 vacation per contract.
Number 12, 86. 100.
180. That's correct. Number 13 is the sheriff's units 1, 2, 5. Very important. They can do 80, 120. Number 14 is the 3196 ASME contract. They can do the 100 sick and the 180 vacation. And then OPBA Sheriff's Department employees in Unit 3, Unit 4, and Unit 6 can do the 80, 120. And then I did not submit 450 and 3808.
Right.
So I don't want to speak to those, but I do have those numbers, Shelley, if you need those.
What they can convert?
Yeah.
It's the AFS is the 8120.
State your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Some people lost their job in family services.
Oh, it was added in there. It wasn't yesterday. Okay, I appreciate it. It was added in. I
Oh, okay,
apologize.
got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So it wasn't there yesterday, so I didn't want to just arbitrarily speak to it, although I know it, but I didn't want to speak to it. So
Your CSEAs too.
yeah, CSEAs is 80 and 60. And that is that. Any questions? I'll get that one. I don't know how Courtney said I apologize. She said she did it.
Yes.
I also have a nice cheat sheet too, if that helps. Yeah, because everybody's different, you know, we can't all be the same stuff.
And it changes.
And it changes. Yeah.
Alex, one quick question. Last year, the commissioners, we revised some of this, did we not? I
No,
thought we went over this.
no,
Or was that
it was
something?
the board before it took it down to 80/40, yes.
Okay, 'cause didn't we discuss about, vacation and the time, time off? And I think somewhere last year, commissioners, did we not?
We do this every year,
But
but
this is why I think we.
we made the big difference.
No? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been at 80/40 for, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years now, roughly. Don't quote me, I think it's 2, 83. But like I said, huge difference from what it was before. So at one point it was in the 300s, then it went down to the 200s, 100s, and it's just kind of been incrementally chopped like that.
Maybe it's just in discussion. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Okay.
Okay, items 18 through 20 are planning commission.
Commissioners, Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. I had passed out this added agenda item. Lisa asked me to print it out. Can I start with that one? Okay. I gave everybody a copy of this. I worked with everybody on this yesterday that attended the meeting on Friday. I tried to copy everybody on the email, so you know what this is about. And Daryl can speak to more details on this, but this is related to the $1.75 million grant that Sheriff's Office received word that they were awarded for the jail roof replacement project. So Michael Slawinski helped and Daryl helped draft the RFQ so we could get it out this week. And that's based on the fact that they want this project done or substantially done this year. So that's the reason for putting it on so quickly. We submitted the application yesterday. Everybody should have been on that. And according to ODRC, they're going to turn around that quickly and issue a grant quickly. So in the meantime, I did ask them if it was allowable to start the procurement process ahead of receiving a signed grant agreement. And they stated, yes, you just don't want to enter into a contract ahead of getting a signed grant agreement. So any questions on that, you can talk to Daryl about the project. We're just helping the initial paperwork to make sure it's meeting the timeframe. Daryl, did you want
No, I covered it.
to? Item 18 is to award a contract to the lowest responsible bidder. This is being paid for out of ARPA funds. That's why we use that terminology. We did get some good bids, I thought. And so we're recommending that commissioners award the base bid and the alternate bid, as the two combined are below the 20% threshold, which dictates at the state level, how far above an estimate can exceed the engineer's estimate. And then in the future, after we place on the agenda asbestos remediation required for that, we'll come back with the modifications to the original allocation that was set aside for this project through ARPA funding. Any questions on that?
So the bid is still 357.
Yeah, it's the base bid and alternate one is what we're recommending awarding. So they separated it out for fear that we wouldn't be able to fund the whole thing, but we can.
I can't believe steps cost the price of building a new house in Holland.
Daryl, do you want to speak to the structural related issues?
Daryl Dunnigan, Trumbull County Facilities. This is, it's pretty involved when you look into these. There are structural beams that go through the building into the basement area of the building. The whole facade on the front is supported by that. So there's a lot of care taken into making sure that face basically doesn't fall off the front of the building. And then the overall concrete itself, that's significant amount of concrete fill in that area.
Right.
And then the electrical that's involved with the lighting. So it's pretty involved.
And historically speaking, Julie agreed. They have done just touch-ups or fast fixes over the last 26 years I've worked here, and they've all failed. So this is a complete replacement that should have a useful life that exceeds 20 years. Correct?
Yes.
Instead, I would imagine if we did a search of our payments over the last 26 years to see what we've spent on those steps, it's pretty significant. So,
Is it, Daryl, is it our understanding that this may not be the only cost if they run into some sort of structural issues, or does this include once they get that out of there and they see what's there? I think there was some question.
there's a line item for contingencies in the contract,
Is there?
Yes.
Is there an amount for that line?
50,000.
An additional 50?
That's included in this price.
Oh,
So,
357?
Yeah, so Gary can talk about this. He's more versed in adjustment of quantities at the end of projects. But typically you have a set bid price and you adjust it up or down based on what you actually construct.
Okay, so it could be less.
Well, 307 is what the bid is.
307, so
So
the
the 50
50.
is the additional.
The
50.
alternate, well, no, the 50 is for it's for the electrical and the lighting and all of that stuff that, is all part of the overall project. But it's my understanding that Strollo included in the budget a contingency line item, just in case they run into issues.
Yeah, but we're gonna need some more money there also, which we're aware of, right, Daryl?
Yes. So it was determined there was asbestos in the basement area where the beams are. And that has to be abated before they can start the project.
Plus, Chair Taylor Commissioners, we increased Strollo's cost by a few $1,000s, 4,000.
That was a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
So the asbestos this wasn't included in the,
No.
and that, we don't know
didn't
what
it
that,
was
we
there
don't know
until
what
they
that
got in
amount
there.
is.
I've received one quote and I should have another quote today.
Okay.
The two companies that we reached out to that we've dealt with in the past.
So we'll have that information next week.
Yes, sir.
mean, while 357 is a lot of money,
Yeah.
we were afraid it's gonna come in at 700,000.
Well, the very first bid, this first game
Yeah,
was 7, then it went to 450.
Yeah.
Now we're at least down to 300.
yeah.
So by not jumping and biting early, we may have saved half the cost.
Not me, I think we did.
And hopefully it stays in that range.
Well, that's up to Daryl to keep it.
Yeah, up to there.
Prairie
print
does a
that,
good
Brady.
job. They've done.
It's up to
He's
Daryl.
Up to maintenance
Use
to
a
keep it at that.
calculator.
I would
Do not. Daniel Terrari's sons does a good job. They've done a lot of work. Item 19, awarding a contract to lowest and best bidder, 2M Services. This is the HSTS funds. We can use half for sanitary laterals, half for HSTS replacements. We have a waiting list of about 40 people on the HSTS list. And so we're just going through them as they come up on the list and the funding becomes available. This is the last of 25 money. We have 200,000 we're expecting to receive for the 26 program year. We still do not have that award in place. Same with number 20, Express Underground. One household that qualified for 100%, another qualified for 85%. And it is contingent on us receiving their payment of their local share. We do not award, we don't want to sign off on any contracts until we have their local funding in place. And I think is that it? Next is Nick.
Item 21. To approve the dedication of an amount to be determined as local match for the Transportation Improvement District application for construction of the intersection of Champion number 23 bridge replacement. I will let Nick speak to this.
Nick Coggins, Trumbull County Planning Commission and Transportation Improvement District for this case. Champion 23 Bridge is the bridge that's located on Educational Highway that is directly before where Mercy Health Youngstown is establishing the freestanding emergency room. That's one of the applications we're going after this year in order to replace that bridge prior to the opening of the freestanding emergency room. As of right now, our estimate for that project is going to be about $750,000 to implement. We are applying for TID grant funds, but that is a maximum of $500,000, which leaves us $250,000 short. We've reached out to a couple of the other businesses located in that area, several foundations in Jobs Ohio. Some of that money has a verbal commitment. I'm working on getting letters. But some of that is still up in the air, whether anybody will commit to giving dollars, and if so, how much. At this point, based on verbal commitments and the one written commitment that we do have, I'm estimating that we are about $100,000 short of having that $750,000, assuming that we also receive that $500,000 grant from TID. So that dollar figure is blank for the commissioners to discuss how much they would be willing to commit to the project, knowing that we also still have a couple requests out there and hopefully reduce that. But $100,000 is my target right now. And Shara was kind enough to provide a fund number that she believes would be eligible to be used for this.
But don't we still have 92,000 going back from the last project?
$94,186.59.
Do we apply that?
That project is under budget right now. It does not appear that we are going to be using that, so we will be anticipating returning that to the commissioners as soon as we close that project.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So we only need to go over an extra 6,000.
Right.
I'm totally okay with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Oh, Gary? Yeah, sorry.
Commissioner, can I say something?
Absolutely.
Gary Schaefer, engineer's office. I would recommend in that since we only have a budget number, that 750,000 really isn't an engineer's estimate. We'll be getting a formal estimate for the stage review submittal on Friday. So we've got the cart before the horse here with that number. So I'd recommend just terming it currently estimated to be 750,000 because that's not the total project cost right now. Could be 700, could be 800.
Okay.
We are getting that estimate on Friday.
in this lane weekend?
No, the grant is due Friday. We're kind of pushing the limit on getting that engineer's estimate. So the grant submittal was due midnight on Friday. So as soon as I get that engineer's estimate, that's one of the attachments that's required as well as this match. But this is the estimate, current estimate that we're working with until they can finalize based on some of the due diligence that they're doing right now. That's the target number I'm going after.
Yeah, I'm just asking, just identify that as current estimate.
Current estimate instead of total project cost.
Question, totally agree. If we submit it with an estimate that's higher and the commissioners only authorize a certain amount, how does that affect the grant? Will they have an issue with that?
Well, so Nick Cogg's planning, TID is the way that grant works is when you submit the engineer's estimate as your attachment, that is going to be your total project cost. You're going to be applying for a certain dollar amount. And then they have two categories, secured funding and targeted funding. So we could adjust what our targeted funding is, but we have to identify at least a source to cover that gap. So we can label, but the more secured funding, the closer you are to the total dollar figure, the more likely you are to be awarded. The more that you're targeting, the less likely you're to be awarded. They want to see that you've got your ducks in a row. So.
What, I mean, one, Julie Green, I just worry because this is a competitive grant. I just want to recommend something. How you can word it is to say to approve the dedication of up to a certain dollar amount that will ensure it covers what Gary was talking about. So Gary, do you think I mean, I know you haven't completed it yet, but do you think it'll exceed 800,000?
Yeah, Gary Schaefer, engineer's office again. You know, the geotech hadn't been done when that $750,000.
Yeah, I get it.
Was identified. Yeah, there was a lot of work that hadn't taken place yet. Do I see it just based on historical bids? No, I wouldn't see it exceeding 800,000.
So my recommendation is to award it to approve the dedication of up to 300,000 or what is it? Whatever you need for the balance to be considered secured.
Secured total would be 250.
Okay. And then at a later date, if we're not funded or you don't want to fund it, you can rescind this or change it. But this really, I think, helps with securing competitive grants. That's just my thought.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineers. Commissioners, I've run into this situation similar to this too, where Appalachia, they're looking for where's the match money, where's this match money, and we didn't have it because it was coming from other funding sources. And we put resolutions on the agenda before saying that the commissioners hereby commit to provide the matching funds for this grant, knowing full well that they're not going to have to pay it because there's other funding sources that are going to come to fruition as the project progresses. That's just my 2 cents on it. Julie, is this a similar situation?
Yes.
So you're saying we don't have to put a dollar amount?
No, I would put in a dollar. No, on mine in the past, yes, I have put in dollar amounts. Yes, I'm saying, yeah, the commissioners, we have this money. Give me points, give me points, give me points when you score me.
Well, the bottom line
And
is,
knowing that I'm not ever gonna ask you for that money because I got something else to, yeah.
well, the bottom line is, need to proceed with this project, and we're under a deadline because it has to get done.
Yes, commissioners.
So we need to do whatever we have to do.
Nick Coggins, this is the Mercy Health has requested that we make sure that this project is completed by December of this year before they open their doors. That total dollar figure that we need, knowing that I'm looking for other funds and have some soft commitments, is $250,000. That would be a secure number. That being said, I am, not only do I have some soft commitments, I have one hard commitment, a couple soft commitments, and I'm still searching for other funds, including Jobs Ohio is looking at what kind of funds they can get. for this project. So, I don't know if that makes you feel better about the number because it's much larger than what you anticipated, but
Because that is creating jobs.
yeah.
And if we get to the next phase, it's gonna create a whole lot of other jobs. So
Yes.
it's got the potential to be probably 300 plus jobs.
Should you also change that to 800,000 instead of 750? Cost, the estimate.
Well, I think if we change the verbiage to be the current estimate for project cost.
Okay.
The current
That's
estimate
fine.
for project cost, because until Friday, I truly will not know what the
Right.
engineer's estimate is. It could be lower, could be
Right.
slightly higher. I trust
I just
Mr.
didn't know.
Schaefer's expertise that he doesn't believe it's gonna go much higher than. So
We can always modify that, amend it, or whatever we have to do, correct?
we can, but again, the problem is this is gonna be one of the attachments for the grant submission that is due Friday. So this is
We'll
kind of.
go down there, we'll amend.
It's necessary.
If need be, correct?
Yeah,
They don't, a little special.
Yeah.
I know, that was.
yeah.
Up, that's why I recommended up, using the words up to,
We have that in here.
if that's something that commissioners want to consider.
We have to, I mean, that project's.
So, I need to ask, but doesn't the engineer have a bridge fund or road fund? Isn't that usually how come out of engineer money?
Gary Schaefer Engineer's Office, yeah, but our budget's set. I mean, to dip into our pockets, they even come up with 50,000 right now. And that's something that would may be difficult to discuss internally. Under 250,000, Commissioner. I don't know where we pull that from in our budget.
Oh, we're pulling our budget. That's what I'm saying. We're meet us halfway or something. We're gonna.
Well, like Gary said, though, we're looking at other funding
Say
options,
250.
right? So we
Other
can,
fun should be.
with the we're gonna have to put it with the match and then figure that out.
We always
Yeah,
got the
there's
state go to. Right? What about Eastgate Canals with it?
Here again, yeah, Gary
Yeah.
Schaefer Engineer's Office. Yeah, but I could get money for next year. You know, we could be building this July 27. Yeah, with OPWC money, federal money. We could kick that out to 29, 30, 31. But when they broke ground, middle of last year, May.
Yeah.
Maybe it really put us behind the eight ball, putting funding together.
Well, we just gotta do what we have to do. We got faith in you, Dave.
Thank you.
Items 22 and 23, sanitary engineers.
All right, Commissioners, Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. It is time to go ahead and put the blueprint phase 2 water project out to bid. As you know, we have a $4 million principal forgiveness to build this project. And we need to award a contract before mid-May. And if we get this advertised, we're looking at a bid opening somewhere in April. So it should give us plenty of time to actually do the contract award and get the final loan and grant agreement with the EPA upon this project.
You know, Commissioner, I'd just like to commend the meeting that we were at in Gary and the sanitary division. Those people, there are about 100 of them there. There wasn't one, as you know, one negative comment with those people, getting that water. And I was just happy to be there. You know, when I first walked in there, I thought, oh, boy, we're gonna have a problem there. But not one person went against that project, and they're all happier than a lark to get good drinkable water.
You know why? Because the water's so bad.
It's
That's the problem.
yeah,
And it's been bad 50 years, 60 years.
right.
It's horrible.
Ever since I started with the
And I
county.
didn't realize that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we just received an email too, from Lisa. Who was that from?
Mr. Ross.
Huh?
Mr. Ross.
Was it Ross? They commended the commissioners on the water, for out there. Is that in Braceville?
Yeah,
Is that
but
Braceville?
he's across the higher line of me with him. He'd like our water lines extended
Yeah,
into Portage County, which at his expense, which we're talking about, but we gotta get to here first before we consider that the racetrack.
Oh, that's what it was, a racetrack. Yeah.
That's on 305.
Yeah.
But also Gary's looking
That's a
at,
great place.
I spoke with Gary day after that, and Gary's looking at extending that piece that connect us down to 422
Yeah,
there.
that piece on
Oh, that loop.
Turner County Line Road,
Yeah.
yes, between Levy Osborne and 422. Yeah, so if there's excess funds, we'll look and see if we can sneak that in there. I've also gotten multiple calls from people on 82 down there by that Riverview Golf. There's a cluster of homes and there may be 30, 40 homes, and I mean, they're screaming for the water too, saying, what about us? What about us? And I started looking at the map there, oh, believe me, I got loops all over the place going up Templeton Road and tying into Warren system and, you know, all kinds of grand plans I could do, but you gotta take it a step at a time. Find the funding.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big project, no
Yeah,
question.
we'll try to get that strip one that we were talking about, see if we can get that in if we get low bids.
There's a nice chunk here, though. Is this?
Oh, yeah.
Nice chunk here.
Nice big chunk.
Mhm.
Good job here.
Thank you. So. Item 23, okay, this is the Stillwagon Road, water improvement project. This is the one up in Weathersfield Township. And originally it was, the water line was just supposed to be on Stillwagon, but then we had that public hearing and we had people on Anderson Morris show up saying we want in too. So we modified the project to include them also. And Niles came forward and said they would, since this is going to be turned over to Niles, they're going to be Niles customers. They're going to operate and maintain the system. They wanted it looped into a line up on Niles by Inner Road. So we had to bring in MS consultants to go and redesign the project and also do the construction administration and inspections. And this is their the cost for their services. I negotiated this contract with them. It's reasonably priced to me. And this is another one that there's some urgency with it because ARP funding is involved in for the construction of it. We know the ARP funded by the end of the year. So the first step is we need MS to go in here and upgrade the design on the project to include the extra portions and the loop and look at the water model and quite a few other things. So,
Do you need to have a meeting on that?
no, we already had our public hearing.
I remember Weathersfield, so to extend that, we don't need to,
First, we had the Stillwagon public hearing.
right?
Then we had the Anderson Morris public hearing. So everybody in this project has been to a public hearing and they've been presented with what their tentative assessments are.
Okay.
So,
We can meet all these deadlines.
well, first, let's get MS and then they have to redesign it. Then they have to go ahead and beef up the design drawings, get them to the EPA. They approve the drawings, then we put the project out to bid.
Yeah, but it all has to be done by the end of the year.
Yes. So,
What do you figure the construction days? How many days for construction?
I would say this one's, it's not a huge project. I would say either a 90-day or 120-day construction time. But we'll spend the ARP money right on the first invoice from the contractor. That doesn't necessarily mean it's probably has to be done.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that was my concern. Okay.
Items 24 and 25 were submitted by the county engineer's office. Mr. Schaefer.
Gary Schaefer, Engineer's Office. Number 24 is to accept the asphalt and concrete emulsion contracts as listed. Number 25 is to approve the sub-recipient agreement between the county and the Western Reserve Port Authority, and that's to receive the All Ohio Future Funds. So they're designating some responsibilities to us. It's just under $15 million for that connector road right now, or that money is being dedicated towards the design and construction of that connector road from 45 all the way over across the river into the tying into the forest here now Warren River Road. So that's going to outline the parties' responsibilities, disbursement procedures, limits of the funding, and in between ourselves and the Port Authority moving. So this is the sub-recipient agreement. I believe I sent you guys a lot of documentation review. If you've got any questions, let me know. There's a lot there, but this is just a kickoff to all those design contracts, which will probably be coming next week when this gets approved. And then later this year, the construction contracts will come through. This sets forth the funding for all this project.
Is this the one where they said that they gave us 17 million?
Yes.
And so you're saying it's gonna cost maybe 15?
There was 17 million. Out of that 17 million, there's $1 million for flooding. That's a different contract that's sitting on the shelf to do. There was some cleanup monies, but yeah, out of that, there was about $15 million that was dedicated towards the design and construction. It'll be more than that. So there's other sources of funding, and including the JED that we'll be seeking funding for as we move through the phases of construction.
Oh, my question, I was just trying to move that 2 million over to us.
That'd be nice. Every penny spoken for. Believe me, we're searching for more. But yeah, from what I've seen, Commissioner, the committee or the county's not going to be bearing any of those costs. There's other funding sources out there that cover this through the phases.
Your 28, submitted by Job Services. Shelley.
Top of the morning to everybody. Shelley Blosser, Job and Family Services. 26 is for the 4D contract with the clerk of courts for our child support division, for the child support activities that they offer for the year of 2026. The total contract is the 79,067.04, but the local match that you're responsible for is only the $26,882.79. Any questions? Number 27, same contract for child support division for the prosecutor's office for their child support activities that they offer us for the year of 2026. That contract total won't exceed $554,838.83. But of that contract, the local match that you're responsible for is the 34%. Which is the $188,645. And then number 28 is for the agreement between child support and the automatic data processing board for their electronic data processing services for the year of 2026. Again, that total should not exceed $82,055.82, but your 34% is the $27,898.98.
Shelley, I have a
Yes.
question.
Sure.
I've received several phone calls from JFS concerning some disparities there in the hiring process. There's something.
Such as?
There's employees that have told me that they had to move to different positions. They were given 4 hours to move and they had to take a different role. Now, I spoke to John about this.
Okay.
But there are others that are calling that are saying, hey, listen, the workloads, this and that. People, they apply, they come and then they quit and is the pay too low to get the right people? You've been experiencing a lot of problems there with hiring?
Oh, absolutely. Shelley Blosser, John.
What do we
Family
need to
Services.
do to rectify it?
Well, we're public service, so everything that we want to offer to our employees comes through you guys for approval, okay? The issue that you're talking about is because we have a 22 caseworker shortage right now. We've actually had to eliminate a unit because of the 8 units that we have. Each is supposed to have 9 people in it. Well, there's some that have 5 vacancies in that unit. You can't operate a 4,000 caseload, 4,000 cases in that caseload effectively. And so we do have a retirement of one of the supervisors. This wouldn't have been an issue had he not been retiring, where it was an option for us to fill the other units. Now, it did come very quickly because we are trying to hire, but like in probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to be submitting who I want to hire in our office. I had 43 applications and resumes. Of those, I'm able to hire 7. So they're not showing, they're not interested for whatever the reason. They don't like our hours, they don't care about the retirement. You know, we don't have that flexibility to say, you can flex your schedule today, come in 7:30 to 3:30. Everybody else comes in 8:30 to 4:30 because you have those core hours that we have to meet. And right now we don't have the staff to offer them these options because you have to have that coverage during those core hours. So
What's the starting wage there for, it depends on the position, I'm
well,
sure.
right now for the caseworker positions that they're talking about, it's 21.69. And then in August, it's going up to 22.62. That's entry.
Mhm.
And they get about a 45-cent increase the first 5 years. Then it spaces itself out according to the contract, but then their longevity also starts at year 5. So that is increased to 30 cents. So their base rate might not increase, but they get their longevity now on top of that. And that increases 5 cents every year. So it's just a matter of, unfortunately, then it's not flexible enough for the workforce that wants, you know, that option to say, I want the flexibility. I want to work remote. Today I want to work remote, but I'm going to come into the office. It's that kind of stuff that we don't have that
That
flexibility.
was my next question. My understanding is they would like to work remote, but we
Mhm.
brought them, we
Mhm.
reeled everybody back in.
Mhm.
And is that you think that's probably one of the issues?
Oh, definitely.
They want to work out of their house.
Mhm. And even the people that are interested, that I get the applications, but once then I go through and tell them, this is what we offer. It's 8:30 to 4:30, brick and mortar building, you gotta come in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's turning people off. I don't know if it's the wage. I really don't know, other than all I hear is the work-home balance, and they want that flexibility in a
Well,
schedule.
and I told one of the employees, listen, the commissioners voted against that when John came, and after COVID, that wasn't going to be, an option.
Correct.
Because
They
you're
had
opening up the
5
floodgates
years.
for everybody else, but just trying to find
A happy
right-
medium, yeah.
yeah.
And the
it-
work
it-
is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only because like you're dealing with the public assistance. So you're dealing with federal guidelines, and every federal program has a different set of guidelines to it, and they continuously add to it. So, I get it. These caseworkers, they're burned out
Yeah.
because we just continue to ask more of them, and we're trying to fill these spots.
Mhm.
But
I just want to put out, because I'd received like 4 phone calls from
Mhm.
just some individuals,
We
that
hear
they're
it.
long-term
We hear it.
employees that, they kind of, felt.
Well,
that-
anything that we would actually try to do, I mean, it has to come before you guys anyway. So, I mean, it's not like you wouldn't be involved in that process. But right now, because there is such a shortage in our staff in that one area, you have to have, it's not going to be fair if I change the hours of one division and not in another,
I understand.
because there's not coverage.
Yeah, but your hours are the same that it is in all the other 87 counties, correct?
No.
So
There's some that work 8 to 4. There's some that have, but they're small counties. I mean, they might only have, 17 people in their office.
So comparatively, if you go county size by county
Correct.
size, our work requirements are the same as those, correct?
Correct. And we are on the county hours.
I mean, I get that.
We've done it before. It was probably about 10 years ago or so. We've tried the 410s.
There was multiple shifts.
And, we tried the 410s, and that lasted about 6 months because people get burned out. You don't want to do our job for 10 hours a day, because by the time that day off comes, you don't want to do anything else. You got to recoup. And we've tried the 7:30 to 3:30, 8 to 4, and the 8:30 to 4:30 shifts. Not flexes. They wanted to call it flex time, but it's actually shifts. And we've tried that before. And obviously in the summertime, everybody wants 7:30 to 3:30. And then you get, there's disparaging between the units because you've got seniority, you don't, I want the shift, it's my turn, but you have to have that 8:30 to 4:30 core hours. So right now, if we tried that, because I've thought about it and I actually sent it out to the staff, but if I've got people on 7:30 to 3:30 and less on 8:30 to 4:30 and my 7:30 to 3:30 calls off, what do I do when I don't have the coverage for that period of time? So right now, because of the staff shortages, it's very hard.
So what you're telling me is that new employees want to dictate where they want to work and what times they want to work.
Yes.
Well,
And they want paid an
Sorry about
astronomical amount of money for no experience.
Shelley,
I'm sure the planning commission employees would like to dictate when they work. Commissioner's employee, I mean, that's.
how are we advertising out there for
Positions.
employment?
Well, we just had a job fair. We do the OMJ site, we do our Facebook page, we repost. I do Indeed. I'm pulling probably. The last time that I looked, I had 69 applications out on Indeed. And I pull the resumes and then I call these people, hey, this is what we've got to offer. Can I email you the job description? Can I email you the agency information sheet? And then it's crickets. My feelings are starting to get hurt by it because I don't hear back from these people that apparently want to apply. So, and even then, I've got people that come in for the interview, get selected. They, because we rank them, you guys get the scores. And, they're real good candidates. I send them for a drug test. I send them for the background check. We pay for it. I never hear from them again. So I don't know.
That's not only your department. I think that's all throughout the county.
It is.
And even in the small business world, it's the same way.
Yeah, I think they just have a larger pool of, larger workload to handle out
Right.
there.
And
there's 3 floors there.
right. Well, we have our OMJ center, we have our social services, and then we have the income maintenance.
The only reason why I brought it up is because I've been getting some calls, paying attention.
We're hearing it too, and we've tried to explain to them, what our limitations are. And they either don't buy it or they think that you can, do some changes, which I'm open for it, but I just need staff first.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll move on. To adopt a resolution granting the petition for annexation of 1.193 acres of land as described in exhibit. Said petition located in Liberty Township to the city of Youngstown, Mahoney County, Ohio. Under the authority of ORC sections listed. Luckily, we were able to use our own prosecutor's office as legal counsel for this. And it's an expedited type 2, so there's no public hearing. However, there was a little bit of a different.
Yeah, Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. This one here was expedited type 2, which requires the person seeking the annexation to notify the townships, municipalities, things like that. We have in the file, there's a record that was personally served on those jurisdictions. And they did not reply at all with either a resolution or ordinance approving or rejecting or opposing that annexation. And the statute is worded in such a way that after 25 days, if that's the case, then that is deemed to be approval given by those places. So the next step here is what the clerk has on, which is to approve that annexation with no objection, essentially. The type 2, just for what it's worth, is one where the annexation does not actually remove the territory, technically speaking, from the township. So I believe it has better tax effects and implications if there's anything like that for the township that's actually losing the territory.
If you remember, if you remember, commissioners, this is at Jewish Community Center School. It's on the same property, and they just didn't want the conflict of two school boards, two jurisdictions. They're just basically annexing themselves into one territory instead of sharing it in two jurisdictions, which totally makes sense.
Any questions? It's 30 and 31, and I guess there's gonna be a 32. Shara, I don't know if you want to start since 30's.
Well, it's just to, Sheriff Taylor Commissioner's Office, it's just to create a fund number specific to that, grant that the Sheriff's Office has obtained for the jail roof replacement. So that's beginning.
Item 31. To amend the Commissioner's regular meeting agenda dated March 4th, 2026, that read to accept a grant award from the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections for the replacement of the Trumbull County Jail roof. Amendment is necessary to add the following language. To authorize the Planning Commission to prepare and apply to the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation for the Trumbull County Justice Center roof system replacement project. A requirement of House Bill 96, capital improvement local jails project guidance. And number 2, to ratify the signature of Tony Bernard, President, on all related application documents submitted on or before March 17th of 2026. Item 3, to authorize Tony Bernard, President of the Board of Commissioners, to sign all documents moving forward that are related to the administration and implementation of the Trumbull County Adult Justice Center roof system replacement project funded through the state of Ohio Department of Rehab and Corrections. And number 4, to designate fund number 148 as the fund from which all project costs are to be paid, as this is a reimbursement grant. And then 32 is what we went over already. To advertise for that. I'm going to add. All
From commissioners. I've had numerous calls from Trumbull County Fairgrounds concerning regrinds. And as you know, we talked to the engineer. They will provide the regrinds and load them, but they won't haul them. I spoke to the prosecutor's office, who Bill had mentioned that if those are being used for the roadways, there is a provision. However, in this case, they're being used to set structures and to do some path work. So if it's okay with the commissioners, I would recommend that we, I think they need about 20 loads, which would cost around $800, not to exceed $1,000. But they're going to need to move forward with this because, you know, the fair is coming up soon. I don't know if there's any reservations about doing that. I think we should add it to our agenda items, if that's okay with our clerk. And for tomorrow,
Do we have to add that? Can we just pay?
do we need to add, do we have a vote on that? Because it is coming.
So I guess I'm a little, what is the actual plan then? Who would be being paid, I guess?
The engineer's office.
The engineer's office.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be like an increase in a general fund appropriation essentially, or something like that. I'm looking at Shara because she might have a better idea of how to
Increase the
say it
budget?
the right way.
Well, yeah. What I would do, they have a little bit left over in their MOU from ARPA funds or other related structures, and that is a very minimal amount. And I don't see why we couldn't use that MOU to move forward with that. It's very minimal.
So how much is
There's
in
other
that?
structures?
They have like, I want to say maybe almost 80,000 left in that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What happens to that 80,000?
Well, it's gonna go to other things.
Back to us?
Yes.
So, but can't they just, so what are you saying? They don't need the bills, they could just take it out of there or what?
Well, no, we would have to have an invoice for the other related structures from the engineer's
So they would
office.
just send us a bill and it's under $1,000
we still need to put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I think it would still have to go on the agenda, I think.
We can write it up.
Can you write it up? Can you work with legal?
No, this is the first time hearing of it.
Well, I spoke to David about it. Yeah, you probably didn't hear about it, Gary. I've spoke to David about it. I know you'll load it. You'll load them. They don't need any excavation or anything, just a hauling of it.
Okay.
Out to
Nicole,
the fairground.
Nicole will.
That's typical, that's how we do our township assistants. Like Gary said.
Yeah, like townships.
Yeah, we just bill them for our man hours. That's it, spent on this project. The grindings would be free and then just the truck cost.
Okay. I just think it'd be, it's a minimal amount. We get it done and,
Yeah.
you agree with that. So, reading something.
Yeah, well, Commissioner, something to look over. I was asked a while back, specifically as we're going, Alex Johnson Bush and resources department, as we're going through budget, talks again. I was asked a while back what could be done to scale back the percentage increases. Obviously, I'm not going to ever tell the board they can't do that. That's your choice. And it always is your choice. So inherently, back to 1994, the 2493 pay scale was considered the pay scale of Me Too for the non-bargaining. However, that can't be changed. With that being said, I don't think right now it's who of anybody to change that whole pay scale, because that is how nearly everybody, I've done a lot of research in this county, is structured. So you would be doing a lot of changing. But with that being said, there is something that you could choose to do, and you could choose to forego or freeze the salary increases. So that is something that the Board of Commissioners has asked to be looked into. And this is basically just your options surrounding that if you choose to do that.
But also, we're taking it out of our hands and putting it in the hands of each public official to do what
Yes.
they want to do.
So the Board of Commissioners, you guys could change the resolution to be just for the Board of Commissioners is saying you're going to do that freeze. We obviously can't implement that freeze on other elected officials. However, that would be their choice to make that decision or not.
Where did this come from? What is this again?
Is this Me Too?
This is right.
This is a Me Too.
Right, Me Too.
Commissioners, we've been discussing this, and I know we're all discussing what's going on here. If this continues with non-bargaining, at some point, we're going to bankrupt the county. We've got some real heavy numbers that are going out to non-bargaining units that, I'm not saying everyone, but yet if you do it for one, you got to do it for all. And this is, my understanding, has been going on since 1994.
Yes.
The commissioners are taking a position to try to keep this county solvent. We don't want to see layoffs. We don't want to see, we don't want to see somebody being put out, but we believe that these Me Too clauses are escalating to a point of where it's putting a major strain on the budget. And I know I'm speaking to everyone here that's non-bargaining. It's not easy to swallow, but we have to make a decision to do something about it. It's our responsibility as commissioners to pay attention to where we're going with our budget. And it's becoming very exceedingly hard to manage these budgets when you negotiate a contract, a 4, 3, and 3, and you have somebody making 130 or 40,000 a year. Well, you could do the math. They're going to be at 200 grand within a few years. And like I said, it's not for everybody. There's not a lot of people here making 150,000 or 135,000 a year. But I think then, and Alex, you could correct me if I'm wrong, the commissioners could later down the
Yeah.
road, with a cost of living advancement or what have you, look at the separate
You can
situations.
create your own
And
structure.
you could accordingly
Yes.
give those more for their job, whatever their jobs entail. Listen, it's not what we want to do, really, but we have to do something. And you have to do it across the board if you're going to do it.
Well, when you look at this, it's like the commissioners are given a blank checkbook to everybody to do this. And I think if we pass this, what we're saying is that it's up to each public official to live within their budget. And if they want to give out additional raises, they can do that as long as they have the money in the budget. Right now, if we approve that, then we're necessarily, we're almost saying, well, okay, we're going to give you the money. Well, if we don't have the money, we can't give it to them. So I think this is putting it where it needs to be, back on each public official to run their department the way they see fit, just like the commissioners. If we come along and we want to do something, we have to make sure we have the money.
Right.
Unless we pass this, we're saying, hey, go right ahead. They're going to say, hey, you guys said it's all right. Now give us the money.
Yeah, once you make a contract, those.
So all
those
we're
department
saying
heads-
is, you know what, we're putting it where it needs to be with each public official to run their own department, with the amount of money that they receive.
And I like the way that that's put. And that's the way it should be.
Right.
But we're taking it upon ourselves right now when we negotiate contracts, and you negotiate crime. Me too.
Well, it was
just
all
keep
right back
getting-
in 1994, but it's not right now.
I agree. I mean, I'm not agreeing
I
with
mean,
this point, but I can't change what.
It's not gonna be
back to
popular.
1994.
It's not gonna be popular.
Change it.
Yeah, but it's not.
We're not playing politics here
No.
with it,
Yeah, but we're not saying to do it or not to do it. We're saying we're putting it where it should be, back with each.
I
public
agree with
official.
that, the way you stated that, yes.
All right, my thoughts on this. We've cut our department $3 to $4 million in the budget last year, which means where we're starting with this is our staff, which we know has been working harder because we haven't added staff when they're working with $3 million less to work with. And we're still telling them to do the job as you are supposed to do it, but do it with less. And oh, by the way, you're not getting a raise. All the union people around you are, but you're not. And I don't think that sets a good precedent either. If we're going to do something like this, I think we need to replace the automatic Me Too and do like every other business in America does. And you have a cost of living adjustment every year of 2% or 2.5%, but they got to earn it. And we do evaluations. We've talked about since I got here 3 years ago. We set a year's date for every department to come up with policies and procedures. And we talked at that time about evaluating your employees. Since I've been here, we've had not one single evaluation of an employee where they sat down with the boss and said, here's where your goals are. You're not hitting them. You are hitting them. You're exceeding them. You're not exceeding them. We just throw the raises out automatically. Even if they do a crap job, we're still giving them the raise every year. And there's no recourse other than to get rid of the person or keep feeding them the raises. I think the ones that are working hard could exceed even some of the raise levels that they're at based on where their pay is. And some of the ones that are just meeting goals or barely keeping the goals, maybe don't get a raise this year, maybe get a 1%, maybe get a 1.5%. Don't necessarily get the full amount of whatever the union people underneath them are. I understand with the unions, they got to get it, but department heads don't got to get it, but a lot of them deserve it. So I don't want to just penalize across the board and take the raises away. And then it looks like favoritism. We're giving something.
And we're not penalizing. What we're saying is it's up to each public official, like the commissioners, we can do whatever we want to do within our budget. The auditor can do whatever she wants to do. The treasurer can do whatever she wants to do. The sheriff, everybody does what they want to do, but they have to live within their budget. Because if we don't do this, they're going to say, well, you guys said it was all right. Now we gave out all these exorbitant raises, to non-bargaining unit. Now give us the money.
But I still say,
Well,
we need to have something on record, on paper.
this is on record. We're saying, hey, you know what?
Well, we're not showing what their job performance is. If
That's
another
up to us to do.
if another elected official goes and gives a 10% raise to someone or 5%, I want to see on paper why they gave it. I want to show the public why they gave it.
Beginning.
Yeah, but they would have to live within their budget. I mean, if they're gonna
Unfortunately,
do
you can
that.
only control commissioners.
Yeah, we can only
You can
control
only
the people
control
under us.
The board of commissioners. I have to express
Right,
that.
our office is
can't-
where we're at.
I mean, I asked the HR person last week and she gave me, the
Evaluation.
evaluation sheet that I have in there, looking at it, that we're gonna start doing that in our
And we
office.
do, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
many departments in this county do performance.
And that doesn't
including
hamper,
mine,
we can do
commissioners.
whatever we
Very
feel
fast.
necessary and we have the money for, just what, but every other public official, right now, I think the blame is more on us. And they're saying, well, you guys are saying, oh, it's okay to do it, all right? I think it's up to them and let's get rid of that 1994 resolution. And we're not saying you can and you can't, it's up to you to run your department.
The commissioner's
us to
office,
run
we're
ours.
on our
Right,
department.
right.
And, we give our.
Yeah, we're not
staff
saying you
accordingly.
can't do it or you can do it, it just depends if you have the money.
But I think for the employees' benefit, work with every day, that they have to trust us as much as we trust them to do their job. We should show what the replacement is and not just leave it out there that, well, we're gonna do something, or we're gonna eliminate this, but we'll do something later. I think we need to show them what the something is.
We
what the
can only
goal
do
is.
with the amount of money that we have right now. And with what's going on with the, property tax maybe losing, how do we know where we're at?
It's really uncontrollable because we're negotiating these contracts. And then there's a Me Too that we're not even really
And in
realizing.
some cases, we're not even negotiating them, they're negotiating them on themselves and they're saying, here it is, now you live with it.
Yeah, and you don't know how much.
So are we gonna forgive our 2% we get every year as commissioners? Or 5%?
That's ORC,
You're
that's
not-
ORC.
Commissioners, you're not.
That's ORC,
You're-
Danny.
Yeah, you're not commissioners,
That's-
you're per Ohio Revised Code,
I
your
mean-
people salary is set.
But I would agree
Department.
that is probably based on somewhat of a cost of living. So we have to look at our staff.
Right.
And we have to think about the cost of living and we have to accordingly, you have to do that accordingly. But like Commissioner Bernard said, those department heads, they do that within their budget. And they evaluate the cost of living with their employees. Right now, we're negotiating contracts and taking that hit with Me Too, and we don't even realize how many Me Too's there are. I mean, and then when you look at the numbers, it's like, wait a second.
Well, if we're looking
We're
at the
gonna go
budget,
broke.
if we're looking at the budget, then are we gonna set a precedent that we're gonna do a freeze in the next contract negotiations that come up too? For the union members, we're freezing the staff now, we're freezing the union members. Let's just say if we're gonna do it, let's not hide it. If that's the direction we're going,
Why don't they,
let's put it on the table.
can we do that when negotiate with contracts that are already negotiated? I don't know.
No, but there's new ones coming up, and if we're gonna start with our staff,
Sheriff Taylor Commissioner's Office, historically, when there was a lack of funding, we did freeze the contract, just say we didn't get raises, everything just stayed status quo. Didn't lose any money, didn't make any more money, and that's typically how we did it. 24.93 for like 32 years. That's it.
And maybe that
It's happened
doesn't,
many times.
maybe that doesn't need to be done this year, but maybe next year or the year after that needs to be done. But we have to put the language, we have to get it out there
At some point,
at some point,
Yeah.
so everybody knows where we're at.
I mean,
And each department or each public official, they have to be responsible for their own department.
and who
And
knows?
right now, Commissioner, it's more or less on us.
And we may not be here, but whoever comes in may have a real task on their hands, kind of like what we experienced when we
Well, there
came
could be
in.
a big financial situation here.
Yeah, and you aren't raising nobody's taxes. I mean,
One thing, Commissioners, I will say, just because it was said, and I have to Alex Stephen Jones, plus Human Resources Department. I'm not going to get into negotiation strategies publicly. That's an exemption for executive session. We need to adhere to that for a reason. But what I will say is, it does get to a point where you go to a fact finder, an arbitrator, and conciliator. And if that award amount is awarded, there is no wage raises. That part I have to disagree with. So what I'm saying is if the funds are there, and they can quantify the funds are there.
If they can, but they
And
have
they-
gone historically,
They-
and Sheriff Taylor Commissioner's Office, historically, and I know this to be a fact. If the commissioners would get together with the union people and they would negotiate, they would go on, we're gonna freeze this for this year, for next year. I've gone many years where there
They
was
also
no.
did other things in lieu of that, so I don't want to get into all of.
Well, we don't need to get into all that, but I can assure you that nothing monetary changed.
And I can assure you that we just went through again, conciliation where they found the funds, they will find the funds.
No,
Well,
I'm
they find the
I'm
funds.
not saying
There
that.
should be funds available for the Me Too for the rest of the staff.
If they literally decide that, and that was
Yeah.
the unions
They
did
didn't go to.
accommodate, no, they didn't. They accommodated the county because we
Right.
were in a situation.
And
So that's happened many
I
times.
just
over the
want to make
years.
sure that also if the union isn't accommodating on that, we have no choice but to go to. I just want to.
You would have to, right, but typically they like to literally not be adversarial.
So you're saying they opened it up?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
literally,
okay.
we literally agreed to leave it status quo and just extend the contract and no money, no
For 7
changes.
years.
Yeah,
I've lost.
I've lost a
Julie
lot
Green.
myself.
That's why we're at where we're at.
Right,
now.
well,
But there's another, I don't really want to get. That's one thing.
I wanna make a
Because then we
statement,
have to
if that's
catch up.
okay,
So what do
Commissioner.
we?
Well,
I just want to make a statement because I've been here 26 years. And I'm not disagreeing that we are, we need to pay
Right.
attention to our budgets. However, the comment was made about people making a lot of money. That's an issue. Well, we've requested multiple times about researching buyout programs. When these people with institutional knowledge leave and are hard to replace, as was also discussed today with people that want more flex time, don't want to work every day. It opens up a whole larger issue. But the point is, Gary lived through this. In fact, if it wasn't for Gary, I wouldn't be here today because he made accommodations for our office at the Planning Commission to not have to lay off people. And we basically did not have a raise for 7 years. That's 7 years of lost income for me in my old age, assuming I live to be old, God willing. It's just, we have to understand what has already been given up by your older employees in this county. And these are the employees that have all the institutional knowledge, that come to work every day, that never call up, that know that you call when you need something done. I just wanted to make that point. And I know you have a lot of other priorities, but I just feel like that had to be said.
And I gotta say too. Cutting raises, freezing wages, that's all stuff you do in bad times. I don't think we're in a bad time in this county. I've been here 3 years and I see a better year this year than we had last year and the year before that and the year before that. We've got Kimberly Clark and we got Amazon and we got Foxconn growing. We're growing our economy in Trumbull County. And we want to sit here and send a message that times are lean. We got to cut wages. We got to cut freezes. We got to stop this. This isn't 2008. What these guys lived through.
wait, I'm gonna
Commissioner,
interrupt
we're
you
looking at a
because-
budget.
Because we're not saying that. All we're
We're not
saying
saying
is that we're gonna take it out of the commissioner's hands and put it in each public official's hands to do whatever they want to do within their budget. That's all we're saying. We're not trying to get political. We're not trying to say anything. We're saying we're putting the responsibility where it needs to be. It shouldn't be in the commissioner's hands that we have a blanket increase for everybody. We're not saying that. We're saying you have X amount of dollars, you operate your budget within those dollars. That's all we're
We
saying.
really need to change what's in there now.
Well, yeah,
Does this really
because
change
right
that?
now it's saying that.
What's it say right now?
Okay, at all, okay? And a couple of weeks ago, I thought you were for this.
Right.
Okay.
But what does it say on there though? What does it say on there? Does it say we must give it? We have to give it?
Yeah,
Shall?
you adopted the resolution to concur with the updated salary schedule for 8/1/2024, 8/1/2025, and 8/1/2026. And this has been done inherently, like I
Right.
said, every.
But we got 2% on here. I thought there's some that are 4%, some that
There
are
are.
3.
Yeah.
So
They follow the contract.
Right, you adopted the same.
442.
pay scale. That is correct, and that was adopted via resolution as it has been dating back to 1994 to address. So that way there was a consistent pay scale. Again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. That's not my job to tell you if I agree or disagree. That's what my job is to tell you what your options are or aren't, and there always will be pros and cons both ways. That I want to be extremely clear on. And again, part of the reason that we had some of the larger increases recently is because there was no wage increase, and then you have to play catch up, and that is problematic. I will be honest with you, commissioners, and that is exactly what I was trying to not kind of get into. But when you freeze wages, then on top of that comes COVID, the inflation. And now we went from people who had no wages to now we're getting hit with a fact finding report saying it's a 10% to 12% to 13%. So you have to, I'm not gonna go into this any further here. I will not.
Yeah.
But there is things that we need to, all this is saying, to Commissioner Bernard's point, I do agree with what he's saying. He's not saying there isn't going to be, it's that we need to sit down, the Board of Commissioners needs to sit down and figure out what you want that plan to look like moving forward. If you want to freeze it for now, again, that's just so it doesn't automatically go into effect August 1st. You should replace it with something. However, what does the board want to replace it with? And I agree. That's why it says right here, the board's evaluating alternative compensation strategies. You need to. I'm not saying don't give people raises. I'm not saying give people raises. I'm saying
Well,
the
yeah,
board
we're not
needs to make
saying
a
that either.
decision on what you want to do and how you
Your
want to do it.
employees
We're just
deserve,
putting it where it should be.
Well, like I said, I would support an alternative on here based on merit up to whatever the employees underneath them got, but there's gotta be a performance evaluation involved with it.
I don't disagree.
Is there some that don't deserve a raise for performance? There are some that do. And some that deserve maybe even more than what they're getting.
Shouldn't that be held within the departments?
Right, that's what I think.
That should be an
I think
evaluation.
Let's state it. So,
Well, it is. We're saying that.
Or, well, it doesn't say that raises should be evaluated upon the department head's evaluation or what have you, but
Can't we just say it's up to each individual office holder?
I mean, you can, it's still contingent on the Board of Commissioners' ultimate approval as the appointing authority. So that's basically why it's.
I just want to put it where it belongs. Let's put it where it belongs.
prosecutor would have any word. I hate to put Bill.
Yeah, Bill's into the
I mean,
prosecutor's office. I
Put
mean,
him on the spot.
this really isn't a legal question. This is a policy question here.
It is.
So,
I
you know,
mean,
I can't
wording,
really-
not on wording.
well, I mean, it just, the only thing I will say is, really, like you guys have been talking, the bottom line is that the Me Too resolution that was adopted back then, it didn't necessarily require the commissioners to fund every position at the level of the Me Too. Every agency had to still live within its budget at that time, but it did give some sort of tacit approval that the commissioners were going to be open to funding those percentage increases, the cost of living increases that came along, whatever they were. But the bottom line is that it never really had any teeth necessarily for other agencies or other elected officials, because they could really already do what they want. They can do now whatever they want
And they do.
technically. And they do in some cases with merit increases, things like that. If you were to, I wouldn't say rescind, but if you were to adopt a new resolution saying we are now canceling this Me Too, it would effectively do the same thing. It would allow each elected official and each appointing authority separate from the commissioners to do whatever they believe is best. And whether that's for, retention of people, whether that's for, whatever it is, that would be up to each official. And they would submit their budgets to you guys the same way they already do. And the commissioners would accept or reject the budget the same way you already do. So in effect, there really isn't a huge legal change to this by rescinding that Me Too, but you're just taking away a little bit of the commissioner's sort of automatic understanding that those percentage increases do apply across the
And we're
board.
making it clear on where it should be under each elected official.
Sure.
That's all I want to do. I think that's all Commissioner Hernandez wants.
Well,
We just
I
want to
mean,
make it
I
clear.
think that makes sense, really. When you have a budget, the department head knows they know their budget. And if they choose that they want to
It's
give
like when
that,
they negotiate their contract.
they want to give a raise.
You know what their budget is.
based on performance or whatever it is, then they can do that. But
I mean,
for us just to say,
it's
we're
not
just gonna give
hampered
it
us at
out.
all, right, yeah. I just think it makes sense.
Like I said, it's not gonna be a popular subject. I know that, but at some point, I just think that we're looking at the numbers and it's like,
Well, what are the numbers? What is the 2% going to affect this department August 1st?
So.
well, I don't know if it's 2%.
It is 2%.
Okay, so where will we get 2, 4, 2,
So it's-
3?
No, it's two. This is the last year.
Oh, this is the last year for
Yeah,
2?
sure is.
It's 2%.
Okay, so this is the lane, this is the lane here.
Right.
Well, maybe on,
But-
go ahead.
Would you like me to answer your question? So human resources is not paid by general fund, so you're not saving yourself any money there. Building inspection is not paid by general fund, so you're not saving yourself any money there. You would be saving, vehicle and building maintenance or general fund. Dog kennel is mainly not general fund. They have dedicated funding sources. However, you do contribute roughly $250,000 as of last year to the dog kennel. So that could be, I can't tell you if that 2% is included in that. I don't have that number off the top of my head.
They submitted it, it is.
Okay.
They should have put it in there.
I think they did, but I don't recall off the top of my head. The Workforce Development Board is not general fund. Actually, we get reimbursed. Sanitary Engineers Office is not general fund. They have their own dedicated funding. Senior Levy Administration obviously has their own dedicated funding through the levy. Transit Administration is a cooperative of things, but that is general fund. And 911 Center would be there. That's another one where it's mainly, they have some revenue sources, but they also do contributed some general fund. So.
So really, this affects really nothing.
It doesn't affect as much in our office as it could in other people's office. But again, you're taking it out of our hands, putting it where it should be, in my opinion.
And then, of course, JFS and CSEA adhere to their own wage schedule, and they are not general. Well, I take that back. JFS is non-general fund outside of the mandated share that we're mandated to provide every year. The Board of Commissioners is mandated to provide based off of a specific algorithm of services provided and so on and so forth. And then CSEA is a combination of, as you saw today, 6634. Yep.
But we don't know the figures, basically, is what we're saying. We don't have a dollar figure, what this is gonna save us or not.
I wasn't tasked to talk about cost savings. That's not what I was tasked to do.
But that's what we're talking about here is for cost savings in the budget. We don't have the numbers. Vote on something.
Well, what the cost savings are today, next year it's different, the year after that it's different. I mean, every year it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And then when you look over everybody throughout the county, then those are the numbers you have to really look at. That, are we saying as commissioners, we agree with those or don't we agree with those? And I'm saying, I don't agree with those. It's up to each public official to do their own. That's the only thing I'm saying.
I see the point. We just had a discussion here. We can't keep employees in job and family services. We can't keep employees in 911. And our board from up top is already saying, well,
But that's not all wages.
if you become a boss,
But
if
Commissioner,
you work your way up, you're not gonna get a raise.
That's not all wages, okay? There's other things that go into why other people, aren't applying for jobs.
And I think job and family services, that's a reasonable wage, actually. I think it's starting
For the
wage,
caseworker,
yeah.
that's one of the highest positions that
Well,
we've got there.
And yours went to fact finding, and the fact finder brought in financial, and trust me, we got to sit through all of that. There are funds there.
All this is affecting is in reality, for us 3 commissioners, or 6 employees that we have in the commissioner's office. And those under us with maintenance and stuff like that. And all we're saying is, if we deem that we have the money and they need non-bargaining unit people need raises, then we can address that. But let's not make it automatic if we don't have the money.
And I just don't like replacing, we're not having anything to replace it with, because what gives,
We don't have the money. That's.
we just lease our
we don't
sheriff,
have
for
the money.
example.
We don't have the money. That's.
They would disagree. They would just, trust me, Sharon would find the money.
Well,
At least, what message does it send when, maybe it's an export? Maybe all 3 of us are going, and export says, we don't get raises.
then they can change.
We got a 2026 thing, says we don't have to do anything.
We're dealing off of something that was passed in
Yeah, we didn't have
1994.
nothing to do with this.
What the board could do is change it to be what you want it to be. That's what I've been saying for quite some time. So
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would change it to something else,
I
but
don't,
not just eliminate without the change.
and again, but that takes you three to come up with
I
what you
agree.
want it to be, and we have to do, to your point, then we do the full cost analysis, and HR will gladly assist you in all of that. However, I was tasked, and again, I work for all three of you. I
Yeah,
was
but don't we have a time frame that we have to
Yes,
pass?
I was
this?
tasked by at least two saying, this is gonna go into effect August 1st, Alex, and why didn't you tell us the last time? I have been telling, I mean, like, that's the reality. I'm not trying to hold anything back from you guys. This is the way it's worked since 1994. I'm not saying that's how it should work. It's up to this board and ongoing boards to consistently reevaluate. Times change. I don't know if any of us have looked in the mirror, but obviously things that happened in 1994 aren't happening today and vice versa. Times change.
So we have 5 months to change this, where
We
we
do.
can review, look at the numbers, get a more clear picture.
The contract.
So no, you're under this agenda item right here. This is taken care of through August of 2026. So nothing can change outside of unless you change that. Correct. And then what I was also tasked to do in full transparency is every year going forward, make sure that I'm expressing very loudly, although this is what you're adopting. Do you realize that? And then again, so that way, I guess it was misconstrued in the past, or people didn't think it was very transparent or clear.
Well, at least it was opened up for,
So we're obligated until August.
we opened it up for discussion. We can look at this further. I mean, I don't disagree with maybe, having,
Anniversary dates.
not necessarily,
Yes.
should it have to follow the agreement
It's
and
definitely
contract.
years.
Well, that's
You know,
following,
maybe
that's
there's
me too.
something
That is also
that
me
can be
too,
done
that you're
aside from
following
that.
the pay
Cost
schedule.
of living increase, you know what I mean? Maybe like, how the ORC does with the commissioners, it's 1.25, 1 3/4 a year. Something on the order of, listen, we realize the cost of living. Maybe something on that order, I mean, but, I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but just to keep going over and over it, it's just, at some point, it's gonna break. And
Well, it's a concern.
it's a concern, and we have to be responsible with the budget. And I think it's just a responsible thing to do. And then and the department heads work one-on-one. We can have a clause in there, maybe cost of living clause that doesn't necessarily follow the contract, or work with our employees individually on an individual basis. I mean, they could come to you and say, hey, listen, you know what? I don't think, I think I need a bump in pay, and then we have to deal with that, as well as other department heads.
That's where I believe we need a
You know what I
yearly annual review. To sit
And
down
I don't
and talk
disagree
about.
with that, but the department head's got to do that. We can't sit here and review all departments.
Why can't we? We
Well,
can't
that's what it's
review our
asking.
department heads
That
under
is
us.
what it's asking. That's,
Well, I mean, we opened the discussion. I agree with Commissioner Hernandez.
Yeah.
It's out there and,
Right.
but, I mean,
Don't anybody
when you
lose.
look at the whole pay schedule, there are a lot of inequities there. And if you look at them, you can see them, you can look at them. And some of those, I agree with you, they need changed, okay? In time, you can't do it all overnight. But again, I think what the treasurer does, what the sheriff does, I think we put it in their hands to do whatever they see fit with the money that they're allocated. Just like us. We can give out $100,000 raises to the commissioners if we have the money. If you don't have the money, what good is it?
I totally get it. There are inequities in a lot of places.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
one, I use Board of Elections, for example. You got 2 making 100,000, the rest making under 50, and they just got 4% raises on top of the last time they were here.
but that's what he's saying.
So
They're on that me too.
I understand
He's
that.
trying to solely, and I know that it's being a little bit. All I'm hearing from Duke, and I'm not taking sides, but I'm simply saying is a fact. All I'm hearing is how do we at least say, we're not going to put that blanket out every year that all of these are under the Me Too, and we're just going to right size what we can. If everybody else continues to do that, so be it. You're not asking to throw out the 24-hour pay scale. It's still the pay scale. The years of service are still the years of service. That's not what you're asking to do. It's just essentially the non-bargaining, you have to decide how you want to compensate them and evaluate them every year. That's up to the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might be worth conversation too, to, instead of, following that contract, maybe a yearly, well, first an evaluation, I agree with 100%, but then some sort of a cost of living type increase, but not 3, cost of living increases, or, sometimes they're on and up.
The citizens, what they get, they just got a 2.8 cost of living, and some of
Yeah.
this, some of
And
those
then-
are only getting $25,000.
And then it gets eaten up in their healthcare costs.
Yeah.
Right, and,
Which it still would for the non-bargaining employees though. So there are things, again,
right,
That we
so
need
we
to
understand that.
there's pros and cons, no matter which way you look at it. That is the truth.
Okay, moving on. Okay, I mean, that's what it's about, need discussion on this. Anybody else have anything?
Nobody?
Sure.
I just came to watch.
Oh.
I'll come back and talk to you guys later.
Oh, okay.
I'm Steve Krista with Lumos. I was gonna give you an update on the fiber bill. Just want to kind of get a sense on.
Oh, I'm sorry, who are you?
Steve Kristen
Okay.
from Lumos Fiber, and just give you guys an update on what the fiber bill here in Trumbull County is.
Oh, you got the floor.
I can begin right now. You
I
want?
don't know one coming in at 10 or 12:30, so
Well,
that's time.
okay, thank you, Commissioner. So we've started, again, Steve Kristen with Lumos Fiber. We started, we've got a nice build going in Warren. We're expanding that. We're just about finished with Liberty and doing real well in Girard. And we're also in Champion and actually got some permits. We can actually put a shovel on the ground in Howland. You've seen our trucks out there. But you guys have been very good to work with. Gary's here. We started early on before we even announced, I think, Trumbull several years. Talking with Gary and the engineer's office out there. So the engineer does the permitting on the county roads and then individual cities like Warren. Mayor has been good to work with out there and his permitting staff. And then Gerard's been excellent. I was just out there last week talking with them. We're excited because we're building fiber to the home. And I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but we're talking the majority of the county is getting fiber to the home. And what that's all about is that it comes in, I've heard a lot of talk about ARPA with the deadline. We are totally privately funded. We're actually a joint venture between a company called EQT, which is a private equity company, and T-Mobile. So we are building it as a joint venture, Lumos. And then T-Mobile is actually selling it as T-Fiber. And they're selling it now in Warren. You may have seen some ads on it. And it's very competitively priced. The idea is to bring choice and competition to the marketplace. We can't guarantee prices go down, but I can tell you this, when you have one gas station on a corner, gas prices here. You have another gas station across the street, prices go down. Prices go down again, the more competition you have. And what people tell us when we're out there talking to, when you only have one cable company or one telephone company, usually prices are pretty high. And services are let's say, not very strong. So we come in and we see that, we've seen that already. I would encourage people when we come, we can talk more about, but I would encourage when people see our trucks. If you look closely, you'll have a door hanger on the areas we're building. You also have a yard dart and sandwich board with an 800 number on it. And commissioners, I can give you my cell number, but I would encourage customers to call us if they have any questions. And that actually is a construction number. We're not trying to sell you at that point. We're just trying to identify any issues that may be. One of the things we do that slow us down are the locates for the utilities. And unfortunately, people put in these underground fences that are not included in the locates. So we want to make sure we don't hit those because we're all underground. And so we encourage the residents, if they have a question about to call the 800 number. It goes to a call center in North Carolina. Doesn't go overseas. They speak English, albeit with a little Southern accent at times. And we get back to people within 24 hours. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is the installation process. When you put an order in for the T-Fiber service,
our goal is to have installed within 2 days. And the restoration, we work on a week restoration process. So if I go in and I dig up your yard, put that cable in, I want to have that restored within a week.
It's good.
If you have any questions, you can go ahead and give me a call directly. I'm local, I live in Canfield. I work all over Ohio. I also work in Florida. And when we started here in the valley, it was the first entry into Ohio. We were in 3 states at the time, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and working closely with, actually very closely with Julie and Nick. We sat down and looked at some areas of Trumbull County that really had need. And prior to working with Lumos, I was with Eastgate. I was a broadband coordinator. And Nick and I had a lot of projects to bring internet here. Commissioner Malloy and I've talked about some of the challenges that we have here. Trumbull County has a lot of internet in some areas and none in others. In fact, if you remember at Eastgate, we were talking about the city of Warren was considered the 5th least connected city in Ohio. And so we started in Warren and Youngstown. And Youngstown is 2nd least connected. So we're pretty happy about that. We're happy with things are going. It's well received, very price competitive. It's called T-Fiber from T-Mobile. And any questions?
Yeah, where you at customer service wise, as far as hookup?
What do you mean?
How many customers you have?
Oh, I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can tell you. I can tell you nationally, our goal is to have 3.5 million customers. We don't consider them customers because what we do is we build internet availability to a house. And then T-Mobile goes and sells T-Fiber. But I can get back to you. Give me a day and I get these figures to you. Yeah, our penetration levels are higher than we targeted. When you see this, typically when you don't have a choice, residents are given a choice. They like that because they call you, and then prices go down, and then you usually have a competitor saying, "Wait a second, don't leave, Commissioner. Here, I'll give you a better price." Those kind of things. And so as competition drives the market, drives prices down. I can get back to you on that.
You can call or record.
Okay.
Now, is this the $1.5 million we gave this is separate? So
Yeah,
there's
this is
another
separate.
company installing that?
Right speed.
Okay. No, yeah, we have had calls here where people lived in Howland said someone came through, dug in their yard, there's wires sticking out. We're gone for 3 weeks and tore up their flower beds, things like that. And when they were calling us, asking us, and who is it? I don't know, Mexicans. I don't know. That's all he said.
So one of the challenges that I hear, Commissioner Roy, is that these contractors come in, they do the work, and there's no notification. Residents don't know what's going on. So one of the things that we require, all our contractors, their trucks all say T-Fiber on them. They have the direct mail piece that they get. They have a flyer that they get hung on the door hanger, and then they get a yard guard. And still some people don't see it, but that's one of the challenges. You have multiple companies trying to bring fiber here in Northeast Ohio. You got 4. Nick says 4 and Julie says 4. The good news, and let me put my Eastgate hat on for a minute. The good news is you've got competition coming, so prices will come down. The bad news is they're coming here because Ohio ranks 38th out of 50 in terms of fiber. We're way below, we're in the bottom quartile. So that's why I'm excited to bring it here. I live in Canfield, so it's like my home area. I'm happy to see
The
that.
fiber you're laying down, can other companies use that or they gotta run their own fiber?
They gotta run their own fiber.
So you might have 4 different companies come by your house.
Essentially, you could, right.
Since we're on the topic, Julie Green, I just got a public records request. I thought I'd bring it up since we have people in the room. This is a subcontractor from broadband who the commissioners actually helped fund. And her request was assistance with verifying road status and utility easements. And I looked up all the address she provided, and all of them are in unplatted or non-subdivision. They're just surveys. And I explained that our historical surveys don't really require those easements to be noted. And so I referred her to Gary Schaefer, Gary Tenary, Gary Newbrown, 3 Garys. Because other than the Ohio Utilities Protection Services, I don't think that there's really any way to identify whether easements exist in a platted area.
So I can't, Julie, I would say I can't speak to that. That
You
wasn't us.
mentioned you were having challenges with your
Yes.
utilities. I was just curious,
Yes.
have you experienced similar things?
With the unplatted?
Well,
stuff?
with locating any sort of easements when you're,
Yes, that
moving
can
forward.
be a challenge.
yeah.
It can be a challenge. I'm not sure I would, just my personal, I don't know the details. I'm
Yeah.
not sure I would go with the public records request on that. I think it may be a better.
Well, I
way, but,
explained to her
um,
that she can contact us at any time.
Yes,
I don't, she probably she's from Georgia, so she probably was not aware of
okay.
our involvement in broadband. So I encouraged her to just reach out to our local county agencies to see what information she can glean from that. But I just
So-
was curious if you were having the same issue.
We have not like that. So generally, what we try to do is if you go in the public right of way, which whether it's a county road, whether it's a township, city, somebody manages that. You know, it's public right of way and assuming they're licensed by the PUCOs, we typically go in that and we try to after we identify the water, the sewer, the electric, we try to go on the outskirts of that. Because we don't want to hit any gas lines. Yeah, our concern is not hitting a gas line.
Right.
But you're all getting used to see it. But if you want to call me, Julie, anybody can help.
I have
But we haven't had that issue with regard to easements.
I think they probably a proactive measure to ensure that they don't run into anything like a gas line or underground water.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Are we taking a recess? We adjourn it. That's just an information meeting. It's information, right?
Information to give us an update on the costs and stuff.
So we can adjourn this then?
Can we get signatures, please?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm kind of hearing one of.
Oh, I only need Commissioner Bernard.
Have 2 pages.
Where did the other committee?
I think you're gonna
Sure,
sort
I need to take pictures of.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's better. It's a, yours, or it's gonna be mine.
Yeah, it's yours.
This is yours.
So, something.
You need your coat.
Okay.
I'm listening. I got 2 pages. So you would mind, anybody mind witnessing?
I didn't know you had this much sway with these fiber optic companies. Fiber optics.
Yeah.
I don't say about that. We just have contact. Anyone wants to-
Did they? Fiber optic.
Listen, you want-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to.
Second.
I will, Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
He's gonna send an email.